everybody, and welcome to the Youth for Human Rights International, a small chit-chat with Dr. Prachati Punde, who is now crowned as Miss Universe Tolerance, a young woman who dared to dream the impossible dream, a dream that will inspire women from all the little dark corners to stand out and dare to dream. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, and to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest, and the world will be better for this. That one woman, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with her last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable, the unreachable, the unreachable star. Yes, today, ladies and gentlemen, that unreachable star, Dr. Mrs. Prachati Punde, Mrs. Universe, is right here with us on this call with Youth for Human Rights International. And I will always dream the impossible dream, and to make this dream a reality, to reach that unreachable star. What inspires Prachati Punde will inspire all the ladies living in those little dark corners to make this world a brighter place. And that was so wonderful to share this amazing song, because this is exactly what we look at to inspire people, to bring people down to a level where they can realize that yes, I am possible, I am possible, I am possible. And Prachiti, you have made the impossible dream possible, because knowing that you are born in this small little village, Karmala, a village that nobody ever around knows it in the universe. And that's finally when you take this title of Mrs. Tolerance at the Mrs. Universe. How did you feel flagging our country and making it proud?
I felt so inspired. I felt, a dream come true, which I had always dreamt as a child. And I had always this dream that one day I will make my country proud. I was very patriotic as a kid. I used to give all the, assemblies at school, right from my fourth class to 10th. I used to take the pledge at the assembly. I was the head girl where I used to take the news, reading every day at the assembly. And that had always, inspired me to do something for my country and for the women of my country, especially women, because staying in a small town, Latur is my hometown and Karmala is where I got married. And yeah, I saw the culture over there. I have been through that culture, the inequality, the gender discrimination, and the sufferings that we get because of these teachings and learnings. Because we don't stand up for oneself, we can't speak up, we cannot dream anything, and we cannot, dare to take a step further to make that dream possible. So when I took that daring step, it was a difficult journey for me, especially, for the first 6 months to 1 year I had no support. And once I started heading on that way, I started getting the results, then I started receiving support. And when this impossible dream came true, it became a reality for me with this title of Mrs. Universe Tolerance. I really felt proud that I could do something for myself. I can stand up for myself as well as inspire my other sisters out there at my place, for the followers who are following me, and make my country proud, basically. So thank you, Teresa. Your song was inspirational, and that reminded me of my journey again.
Prachiti, it's so wonderful to have you here, because as the brand ambassador, the Goodwill Ambassador for Youth for Human Rights International, our dream is actually to advocate and to inspire the youth to be peaceful and to be tolerant. And winning this title of tolerance actually makes our flag fly even more higher. This is what we really want our youth, our people, to be inspired for peace and for tolerance. Winning this title is so important for us, because this is actually what we need today. Don't you agree with me?
Definitely, I agree with you, because this is the thing that we all need today in this world of, humanity, where we are trying to spread world peace. We need tolerance first before judging others. We need tolerance to understand. We need tolerance to go into other people's shoes, understand them, be patient, so that we maintain this peace. So whether we are heading for anything, right from equality, gender equality, right to education, all the 30 human rights, we are working towards it hard. But we need to understand that as we work towards them, we need to be tolerant to understand people, so that they take their time, so that they help each other. And then in turn we become advocates of tolerance and world peace eventually. So peace will come for sure with this kind of tolerance. And I was so blessed when I was I was being crowned and I was being made this sash. The sash was being worn on me. I immediately, the first thing in the first second that clicked in my mind was advocates of world peace and tolerance. Thank you, human rights. It's a blessing for me to be this Goodwill Ambassador, and upon it, a blessing to win this title, Women Mrs. Universe, as if it was for the human rights. So it was a lovely feeling, and definitely tolerance is what is needed in this world.
Tell me, Prajati, when did you come to know and be aware of what human rights are all about?
So human rights journey was very interesting. I was already into social work since last 18 years, and I was working with NGOs. I had my own NGO as a doctor, treating patients. I was already counseling them, but I never knew human rights. I never had thought of them. Nor did I, nor did I even think of them. Until one fine day, I met Michael Teresa at an event where she came with this banner, and the event was co-sponsored by human rights team. There was this entire team, and I heard Michael Teresa on a stage, on a platform, talking about human rights, asking people what are human rights. And I was astonished that even few people from the audience didn't knew. We couldn't talk about, even I was there in the audience, and we couldn't talk about human rights, and never thought of uh, telling these human rights to people. And as I heard you through your speech, Teresa, one thing I noticed was, yes, I've been working socially, but I have never taught people that they have their right. They have their right to education, because this itself inspires some courage and confidence in them. Hearing and knowing the human rights itself can, give 90% results. It can yield 90% of results for people and women to stand up for themselves. So I feel that, instead of taking a long journey in the sense of, making people aware, taking them to education, taking them to different sectors, instead of this long journey, if we simply make them aware about what their rights are as a human being, what are the human rights, what are the 30 human rights, this itself can boost our confidence in most of the women, and 90% of the problems can be solved. So that is where I decided, after listening to you, that yes, I want to do something in this field, and I want to be with human rights.
So, did you actually ever think at that moment that one day you will be walking down the aisle for Mrs. Universe and taking back home the title of tolerance?
Oh, never. I mean, it is a surprise blessing for me. I guess it's because we are angelic souls who are, constantly striving to support people, constantly striving to make women aware, constantly trying to help out women. And I think that comes as a added bonus blessing for people like us. And when this sash woman, Mrs. Universe Tolerance, came to me, I really felt a huge blessing when I really thought that as I choose to be an advocate of peace, an advocate through human rights, this title came as a blessing to me and as a surprise blessing.
That's really nice. Dr. Prajiti Punde, you also showcased your work, which I would like to showcase it one more time to the people who have not seen it. But Dr. Prajiti Punde has put up a very short and a very sweet documentary showcasing the kind of domestic violence that happens. And since she being a doctor, she gets to see a number of cases. How does an anesthetic doctor see the painful wounds? What can she do to calm them down and help them forget that pain? Can human rights help these domestic violence victims? Can medicine heal them? What will really heal them? If not, a small documentary right now. I'm ready to share it. This is a beautiful piece of work that is done. It was showcased in the hall of Mrs. Universe in front of almost around over 199 countries, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was 90 countries of the world with 110 participants and the directors, various national directors from various countries. And yes.
Women in their lifetime go through multiple problems. Some we quickly solve, some we put our mind to fight with all might. While some pass through so nonchalantly that we don't even consider it worth discussing. One such evil that is always lurking around our society is unapologetic domestic violence. The roots of domestic violence can be seeded a lot deeper than they appear. Also, the current pandemic has been devastating for many families at socio-economic levels, triggering an exponential growth in domestic violence cases. Being a hell for our sisters. 45% of women are slapped, kicked, beaten. 90% psychologically abused women perceive violence as a normal part of their married life. Mental cruelty is not easy to establish as physical cruelty. Each scar, each comment, each fight, each slap has an effect, leaving you empty. Approach coaches, closed ones, seek community support centers, try to understand the domestic violence cycle, create a safety plan with trustworthy people, protect your communication and location, keep fighting until you succeed so that you get strong and help other sisters out there. No, violence is not right. I am not a victim. I will not take the blame of his behavior. It's not my fault. I am good enough. I have all the strength and courage in me. I am fearless. I am worthy of love. I will fight. I will keep going until I emerge victorious.
That was Dr. Mrs. Prachati Punde, Mrs.
Is your kitchen filled
Universe
with ready-to-eat food?
Tolerance.
Do you often eat instant noodles? Do you grab a protein bar when getting late for work? Has frozen food become your go-to party snack? Have cake packets made their way into school lunch boxes? Are there crackers and microwave popcorns in your kitchen? I'm sure there are biscuit packets too. Tonight, I have news for you. You've been sold a lie that these packaged food products are safe, that when in a hurry, you can pack a ready-to-eat meal bowl instead of some homemade food, and that it's the same. Well, it's not. You must have seen ads claiming that there is the goodness of chapati in a bowl of cornflakes. Again, it's a lie. Protein bars are as healthy as an Indian thali, perhaps healthier. Not true. So why don't we do a little fact check tonight? Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay, and this is your plate of Indian homemade food. There's vegetables, lentils, carbohydrates, dairy, and pickle. Did you know pickles are probiotic? They do just what your little bottles of probiotic drinks do.
So that's a commercial about what we can do at home. Through food, we can also heal people. Sometimes when we call over friends, and that is the best time to talk to them and understand what really, really hurts them. And this is the best time. I find a lot of women who even come up to me, and even over a small cup of tea, I get to hear such stories on domestic violence. And it is very difficult to understand that pain. You being a doctor, Dr. Prachati Punde, how do you feel when these patients come to you?
Especially with an empathic person like me, it's very painful. because I used to see 100 to 120 patients every day, and all patients are women patients that I see, because I practice in a rural place. So there it's a culture that women come to women doctors. And when, each and every single patient, only 10 out of 110 patients will not talk about their mental health problems. Rest everybody, even if you touch them while, checking the patient, or you give them a smile, you give them the confidence that they can talk about themselves. Everybody goes through mental harassments, tortures, and they cannot stand up for themselves because they have been trained that way since their childhood, because of this gender inequality culture, wherein, in rural places like India, we see girls inferior to men, and we teach them that they cannot speak, they have to keep quiet. That's not good for a girl. You have to be a good girl, a good girl, become a good girl, then only you can become a good wife, a good mother, a good daughter, a good bahu. And which means that you cannot just speak up for yourself. And it pains, as even as a doctor, because we see that the patients, they actually do not need medicines. All that they need is reassurance, all that they need is confidence, all that they need is healing, all that they need is right education, and all that they need is to know the 30 human rights. That is what I feel. So as a doctor, it pains because I cannot keep on prescribing medicines to them in this scenario. So that's the reason why I also eventually turned up into being a life coach.
Tell me something more about you being a life coach, because I've heard a lot about your work for Prachati Kokoro. Something which talks about spiritual elements in it. So, what exactly inspired you to begin this journey as a life coach too?
Yes. This is something which is really close to my heart. As a child, I was born with claricognizance and clari-empathy. So I was empathizing with each and everybody that was there in the room, that was there in my school, at roads, at home. So eventually I turned up, into meditation, taking up meditation from my 8th class itself. So that used to give me peace of mind and not empathizing too much. So that due to empathy, sometimes we cross our boundaries and we start hurting our own selves. So that's where my meditation and spiritual journey started. Uh, I was born in a rural place, and I was always being told that if you don't become a doctor, you will not get married to any good person, and you will have to ultimately end up cleaning utensils. So that's the reason why. Then I focused on my studies. I scored 98.6 percentage marks. I became a doctor and anesthetist, and I was married in a village again. So when I went to this village to practice, initially I used to see 40 to 50 patients. As my OPD started increasing, because they used to see somebody new. People at villages, they are like, oh, foreign say doctor. They feel that there's a foreigner here at a rural place, and they're very excited to see us. And then they started visiting more. But the OPD turned to 100 to 120 patients, and I used to prescribe them medicines. But when I started talking to them, when I started empathizing with them, I got to know their mental health problems. I got to know that most of the diseases, the pains, the aches, the lack of anemia. There was a lot of anemia also. But the fatigue, fainting that was there, the clinical symptoms that were there, those were not pathological. They were mostly because of the mental health problems. And that inspired me, to take up. Again, it reminded me of the meditation mindfulness, but here people will not do meditation or mindfulness. They need solutions. So that inspired me to do a thorough research scientifically on how to help as a psychologist. So I took up human psychology. Then I ended up taking CBT courses. I ended up taking in NLP courses. And that's how I completed my 13 certification courses in life coaching. And then I established my firm, Life Coaching Prachiti Kokoro, in the year 2008. And this then eventually, you won't believe, but this has not only helped in the mental health problems, but it has also helped in infertility cases.
Oh my.
So most of the problems that the couples had in the infertility was solved through this Prachiti Kokoro life coaching. So I ended up practicing as a doctor and a life coach both.
So how does it feel when you get a newborn child into your hand?
Yes, at that time of, I conduct a lot of deliveries, and we try and conduct mostly normal deliveries. We do avoid cesarean sections. And at that time, because when we are trying, a mindset of a doctor is different than of a human being, because then we are constantly in stress of whether the mother is safe, the baby is safe, is the baby crying, and we are completely focused into that. Is there any bleeding anywhere? Once the baby is born, is the baby crying, is the baby pink, is he thermally okay? And we are constantly being an anesthetist upon it. I am mostly into clinic searching for those clinical symptoms. But yes, when I'm out of the labor room, I know that the mother and baby are safe, they are shifted to their rooms. Then it is that I start getting into this life coach role, or the role of human being, wherein I feel it really as a boon that I can serve people. I can take hold, I can hold this innocent young kid that's just born. I feel that angelic divine feeling in that soul. And being into spirituality, I can then relate to those energies, and then I go visit the room of the patient again. I check the baby, and this time when I see the baby, I'm connected more on a spiritual level than as a doctor. So it feels really divine.
Actually have cases where people at the time of conception they request you, is it a male child or is it a female child? Do these problems still arise?
Yes, unfortunately, they still arise. It's bad to hear, but there are a lot of cases of female feticides. In fact, the place where I live, Karmala Taluka, it's a taluka which owns almost more than 96 villages. And we have this patient drain from all those villages. I've been visiting personally. Every month, I try and visit 3 to 4 villages, wherein we have 3 such villages where only 2 girl childs were born in a span of 2 or 3 years. So you can still imagine the number of female feticides that is going on there. And even the mother is forced to continue keeping pregnancies till she delivers a male child. Even if the family is not well settled, they are from a poor family, they cannot afford having more than one kid. But here they are forcing the mother to have 8, 9, 10 pregnancies until she either suffers from anemia or suffers from clinical problems, or until she delivers a male child. She has no option. That's sad, but that's the reality.
Prachiti, amongst all the doctors I have met, they're very clinically driven. From morning till night, they will visit a patient and that's about it. But I've also heard stories where have you gone to homes of the women and you've actually been able to, do an soap analysis on how to, get this woman to even get a livelihood. You've helped them, through your project where you teach them sewing. If the need is, to teach them how to make uh, things like can be sold as snacks. Uh, what exactly makes you drive to do this soap analysis? Because I have done the soap analysis for doctors. It is subject, object, assessment, and plan. The plan is always a prescription. Take your medicines on time. Meet me after 7 days. But you always take this opportunity to go back home, meet the patient, get the patient back on its feet. So, can you let me know more about it?
Yeah, basically, it started from the objective itself. So, my objective was never to sit on the OPD cabin as a doctor or as a clinical person. Being driven into spirituality since my childhood and being an empathic person, I always strived on helping to solve the root cause of the problem. So here I could find that the root cause of my patients was not clinical. They rarely, 20% of the patients needed allopathic medicine, but there was a huge number on the other side. 80% of them needed true support. So as I said, I started with life coaching. Eventually, I started yoga classes for them. And then I set up my own NGO, which is called the Abhijita Mahila Hastakala Kendra. Hastakala means creativity, artwork. So why was this artwork given more preferences? Because we have some middle class families wherein the husband is working and they never like a woman to go outside and work. It is against their ego that they cannot support the family, being a male. So women are not allowed to go. But when a woman stays in the home, she is, every person has a caliber in them. They have their own intellect and their own intelligence, and they want to shine out because a few educated women are also there in Karmala who feel that despite being educated, they are still housewives. They cannot go outside the home. Having, lot of time, free minds is a devil's mind, we know. So that's why I chose this Hastakala, where we taught embroidery works, lamsa work, mural work, stain wood, canvas paintings, so that they can work from home itself. And then we used to set up exhibitions where they can, sell these products and earn their livelihood. If the female from the home does not want to, enter the exhibition or an open space, we used to keep few helpers where, they used to sell the products and give them their finances back. But then this helps strongly in building their confidence. It's not about the money, how much they earn, but it's about putting in that much creativity, putting in their brains, minds into it, earning out of it, and getting that confidence that yes, I can do something. And then this started helping in their physical health as well. So when I started getting the results, I ended up thinking that as a human being, if I really want to help other human beings, I need to go in their shoes and think from the second position and the third position, which is the eagle's eye view. And then I made them financially stable. I strive to keep their mental health intact. And yes, definitely through this Abhijita Hastakala Kendra, which is my NGO, women used to come together. They used to feel support of each other, no matter if the family stands for them or not. But here there are a group of like-minded women who can empathize equally and who can stay together. So this work gave me a lot of pleasure, and I never saw my clinical practice as a doctor, but I saw it more of, helping other women. One more added benefit of staying in rural place was that I could connect one-on-one with these women. As in urban areas, we have movie theaters, we have, various things that we can go around. We can have recreational activities. We have some, events where we have to socialize. But in rural places, we don't have any such things. And we have ample amount of time because somehow the energies there are very subtle, stable. You find that there is a time lag in the villages. In urban areas, the time flies, but in rural areas, you find a lot of time. And then I started to utilize my time by visiting people, by visiting places, visiting villages, going to their homes, actually seeing their states, their conditions, to really analyze and solve the root problem. So I was focused on the root cause, and that made me do all of these things. So yes, I think it's where energy flows, where attention goes, and my attention was all towards solving the root cause and not treating them through allopathy or being a doctor. So I guess all of this Abhijita Hastakala Kendra, Prachiti, Kokoro Life Coaching, and all of these activities by visiting their places came through this focus.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot to talk to Dr. Prachati Punde. There's a lot to be inspired on how to become a Miss Universe. There's a lot of grooming that one can do to make that dream impossible. The last and final question, Dr. Prachati Punde, what I'd like to know from you is, as the Goodwill Ambassador of Youth for Human Rights International, let me know one last question. What are your plans to take home to Karmala with the 30 human rights? Do you think the world will change? One answer, one word. Yes or no?
Definitely yes.
Yes, and that is exactly what we are going to be doing. We are going to be taking the Independence Day, 75 years of independence, and yet there are so many villages who do not know what human rights are all about. There are so many women, there are so many men, and there are so many children. How will they know about their human rights if we don't declare it? So with me and with Dr. Prachati Punde, looking forward to a very, very happy Independence Day, cause this time we are going to be making the world Youth for Human Rights friendly and independence. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.